to Abrego Garcia's lawyers accuse Trump administration of vindictive prosecution, a news story written by Jeremy Roebuck and read by an AI-generated voice. Lawyers for Kilmar Abrego Garcia are asking a federal judge to dismiss the human smuggling case against him, calling it a clear-cut case of vindictive prosecution just days before his expected release from criminal custody in Tennessee. In court filings Tuesday, defense attorneys accused the government of ginning up its case against Abrego, who was illegally deported in March to a notorious prison in El Salvador, only to be brought back to the United States in June to face newly filed criminal charges. The lawyers maintain U.S. officials set out to prosecute him as punishment for him having the audacity to fight back rather than accept the brutal injustice of his mistaken removal. Kilmar Abrego Garcia has been singled out by the United States government, attorneys Sean Hecker and Rasco Dean wrote. It is obvious why. Mr. Abrego was charged because he refused to acquiesce in the government's violation of his due process rights. Their request for the case to be tossed came as a court order delaying Abrego's release from criminal detention in Nashville was set to expire Friday. Last month, federal judges in Tennessee and Maryland issued a pair of rulings requiring that Abrego be set free and allowed to return to Maryland, where his family has lived for about a decade, while he awaits trial. The Maryland judge also forbade U.S. immigration authorities from immediately taking Abrego into custody and ordered the Trump administration to give him at least 72 hours notice before deporting him to a country other than El Salvador. Abrego's attorneys had requested a 30-day stay on any release order as a protective measure before those rulings, after government lawyers repeatedly suggested the government might try to remove him as soon as he left a detention center in Nashville. It remained unclear Tuesday how quickly Abrego might be let go once the stay expires on Friday. His lawyers said in court filings that they'd hired private security to escort him from Tennessee to Maryland. They asked the court to require U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to permit them to visit Abrego should he be taken into immigration detention at any point before his trial. A 30-year-old father who entered the country illegally as a teen and is married to a U.S. citizen, Abrego was deported to his native El Salvador despite an earlier order from an immigration court barring his removal to that country. A judge had ruled he could face persecution from gangs there if he returned. Government lawyers described the move as an isolated error, but stonewalled multiple courts that demanded authorities facilitate his return to the United States. President Donald Trump and his surrogates have repeatedly disparaged Abrego and insisted he would never walk free in the U.S. again. Abrego, meanwhile, has said he was severely beaten and subjected to psychological torture while incarcerated in Central America. The Trump administration eventually flew Abrego back to the U.S. after it secured its indictment against him for human smuggling stemming from a 2022 traffic stop in Tennessee. The Trump administration has continued to insist Abrego is a danger to society, despite the rulings ordering his release. Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin attacked the judges involved in last month's decisions and said at the time that Abrego will never walk America's streets again. But several weeks later, government lawyers have not appealed either order. Abrego's lawyers acknowledged Tuesday that motions seeking dismissal for vindictive prosecution are infamously difficult to win. Defendants must cite objective evidence that a prosecutor acted to punish a defendant, exercising their constitutional rights, or that the government's conduct in bringing a case was unreasonable. But if there has ever been a case for dismissal on those grounds, this is that case, they wrote in their filings Tuesday. The government is attempting to use this case, and this court, to punish Mr. Abrego for successfully fighting his unlawful removal. That is a constitutional violation of the most basic sort. The attorneys described a wide-ranging and unprecedented retribution campaign by Trump administration officials in response to the Abrego family's lawsuit seeking his return from El Salvador. Those attacks only intensified as multiple courts ruled in their favor and culminated with the Justice Department's indictment. Prosecutors allege Abrego was an MS-13 gang leader and a prolific smuggler in a ring that illegally transported thousands of undocumented workers across the country. He has pleaded not guilty, and his lawyers and family have denied that he is involved with any gang. The 2022 traffic stop in Tennessee that led to Abrego's indictment initially ended with a warning from local authorities to renew his expired license. A Homeland Security investigations agent testified in June that federal officials launched the investigation into the incident in April, while Abrego was in a Salvadoran prison. The only possible explanation for the timing of the charges here, his lawyers wrote Tuesday, is that the government chose to use this prosecution to punish Mr. Abrego. The Justice Department did not immediately respond to requests for comment on Abrego's motion. Maria Sacchetti contributed to this report.